Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we're down here in Melbourne, Florida, east coast of Florida, kind of central Florida area, working on a foundation. This home actually has a semi-basement, and what we're going to be doing is waterproofing the exterior foundation wall. So you can see we've started the excavation. Here's a real good example of the original footer pipe. So these are called field tile. Sometimes they're called footer tile. But these are original. They're from way back. This home was built in the early 50s. And you can see they're 1-foot sections of terracotta pipe. They are round inside and they just butted together. And you know, this system actually still works, but it's pretty full of dirt after, 60 years. So we're going to replace that with today's new Easy Flow and also surround that with gravel. You see these tiles that run through here. They're 1-foot sections, 4 inches wide inside, and they butted together in order to allow water to flood up into the system and be carried away. And if you look closely, you'll notice that they still work after 60 years. We're going to replace all that with the Easy Flow, and we're also going to seal the wall with liquid rubber all the way around. It's actually going to discharge over here to a sump basin. We actually did some exploration on our discharge and we found this sump pump, which is really great because now we can send all this water and more over to this basin, and the pump will lift it up and send it out to the street. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so excavation is moving along pretty well. Just now getting down to the footer, and you can see all the gravel that's been laid down here. This was the original gravel, and if you look closely, you'll see a couple of brown spots. That is the old terracotta footer tile. So we know that we're right at the footer level. We're going to clean this all out. It comes over and we'll turn and go around this little knee-high wall and then on around the side of the house to where it's going to discharge to the sump pump. Again, a good project for the do-it-yourselfer. Difficult to dig through gravel. There's no other way. You just have to dig through it. When you get down to the footer, you'll know it. And I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so here's the footer, you can see, and you can see where the stucco actually stops and becomes solid concrete as it meets the footer. We're going to clean all this off and seal the wall with liquid rubber all the way up, including across the seam of the footer and the foundation wall. Still have some excavation. Footer on this side. Turn. Beautiful. Joe's got it where it drops down. Now it's really nice and low. Water will drain out of here really well. So again, we had to go around this knee-high wall right here. And you can see the footer. We'll clean all that off, of course. And then the pipe's really going to drop dramatically down through this trench. It came right alongside this gas line, and the old footer tile was pushed right up against that gas line, but no problem, got past that. This was an old fence post, probably a chain link fence. That's a footer, it goes way down and stays there. We just go around it and we'll come right back over onto the foundation wall, and you can see the footer already exposed on the other side. Okay, so we have this little section excavated, and if you look closely, I want to show you, this is called a step foundation. And you'll notice that where my boot is here, you can see the drop off as it goes down. This is step down to that level down below. Makes it a real difficult seal because the deepest portion of the foundation is at the deepest end of the house, which makes the excavation go deeper. But not a problem. We're going to wash all this off, clean it off. Still going to put our liquid rubber up on the wall, seal it tight, and then we're going to backfill to this level right here. That line continues around, like I said, comes around and goes on out around this knee-high wall over to a sump pit out there on the side yard. So let's go ahead and clean up. Okay, so let's catch up with what we're doing. You can see here's the sump pit. If you remember the photo from before, it basically was just discharging, out through that black tube right there onto the ground. What I've done is I've replumbed this, and I've put, some no-hub couplings to give it some flexibility. because it's not quite, you know, true square plumb, and you can see the little bend. That will be no problem at all. The pump down below, I've checked it. It is a Zoller M53, 1/3 of a horsepower. Great little pump. It should keep up with this. If not, then they'll need to go to the 1/2 horsepower pump. What we've done is we went ahead and trenched a new line right through here. This is for a yard drain, for a catch basin. And you can see the catch basin was already installed right here. There's a gas line here we had to go under, and apparently some type of other yard drain. I don't know where that goes, but we went underneath to get good fall. You can see the groundwater down there in that trench. Can you see that? There's a lot of water in this yard, and this is all going to come through. This pipe goes underground into that water that you see, and there's actually a T right here which goes into the sump pit. Our footer pipe is going to come across, and I went ahead and drilled a new hole. Let me show you. I drilled a new hole to bring that in right here at the top of the pit. And that way it's not connected to the downspout drain, which is here, although we are connecting this downspout over here. That's why I wonder if the M53 will keep up with it. Not a lot of water. Let's look up there. You can see it's just one side of the house, but a fair amount of water comes down that gutter and is going to be going into this pit. The pump can easily pump it out, but during great big rainfalls, that's a lot of water for the M53. It can pump about 60 gallons a minute, a lot of water, but you know, a 1-inch rainfall, we're talking 1,100 gallons in a 1-inch rainfall, so it's a lot of water for that little pump to handle. We'll see what it does. Right now we're sealing the wall. Got Joe over there painting on the liquid rubber. You can see how it goes on. He does a nice job of sealing it up. And basically, remember, this is blackjack number 57, and the secret is that you seal it all the way down to the seam of the footer, most important spot. Paint that on, we'll let it dry, and then we're going to look at another issue that's going on here. So what I'm doing now is I'm connecting the footer pipe to the sump pit. You can see here's the sump pit. We're right on top of it. Sump pit. This is the footer pipe. Remember, I drilled a hole in the side over here, so I'm going to cut this pipe off so it sticks well into the pit. And the way I make that connection is actually exactly 4 inches, so we're going to slice the pipe 5 or 6 inches, and then we just squeeze it together real nice and tight. Now, if I can get the camera over here. So I went ahead and connected the pipe, the 4-inch discharge, into the sump pit. Remember, that's a 4-inch hole saw. We slice this 4-inch pipe, and then we squeeze it together, slide it inside, and it expands and fits super tight. You can see this is the discharge. Up there at the footer of the house is going to be the perforated pipe. We're using easy flow drain pipe, which is a styrofoam peanuts that encase the perforated pipe, and it's all encased in fabric. It works really good for this type of situation. So we're starting to lay the easy flow, and this is the footer pipe. It is 4-inch perforated pipe surrounded by styrofoam peanuts encased in a fabric to keep all that styrofoam there. Water floods up in through the styrofoam into the holes at the bottom of the pipe and is carried away. And you can see we had to go around the sidewalk pad, and we can continue this. Whoops. And we'll connect to this section over here as well. Okay, so it's all ready to backfill. And basically, as water floods, you know, up onto that footer, which is below the floor, that's the secret here. You got to be below the floor for a footer tile to work. And if you remember, the sidewalk where we've thrown some excess dirt was already underground, is above the floor. Putting that footer pipe there, it's 8 inches above the floor. It will still leak, so we had to do this. Had to come around the sidewalk, and it comes all the way down and around, makes the connection, changes to gravel perforated pipe on over to the sump pit. Sump pump lifts it up and sends it out. Okay, so now comes the fun part of backfilling, and it's a little bit easy, but still it's hot, full sun here. Basically, you take your shovel and you just start pushing it right back into your trench, covering it all up. All that work that you did to, you know, dig down to that footer, excavate it, this is where it was worthwhile, because if you did it right, you won't have to do it again. Now we're making the T connection from the downspout This line is the catch basin line that we showed you. This is going to the downspout, and it's going over to the sump pit. And we can just push this line down so it goes down deeper. But again, we'll hook up that downspout. You can see that's coming separate, and we'll make the connection to the catch basin. And again, it's okay if it's popped up here. You can see it easily pushes down, and then we backfill on top of that. This job's almost done. The hard part now is to backfill, just because it's hot. That's the only reason. And again, if you were doing it yourself, maybe you'd wait till the morning and do it again. But you've hired a contractor. We're going to go ahead and do it all. I am going to put a screw here in his little discharge because this comes from the sump pump and it's under pressure back there, and we don't want this to blow off, so I'm just going to put a little set screw in here to put it all together. Just going to screw it real tight. This way you can see it's secure and the water can't blow that grate, or if it was a pop-up, sometimes we do the same thing. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.